Hey everybody, I'm back with my part 3 of 3. When I last left you, Everett did some issues of Prince Namor that filled up half a comic. Then he disappeared for whatever reason. Might have been deadlines, because for a while he had real problems with that. So he started inking. They had him, Stan and Roy had him inking more because his ink line is great. One of the few Jack Kirby stories that wasn't inked by Vinnie Coletta. And it's pretty bold looking stuff. I mean, there's some stuff I liked by Vinnie Coletta, but his erasing of backgrounds and simplifying Kirby's elaborate buildings, that's unpardonable. I'm sorry. But look how bold the hair is. I would have loved to see more of this, but I think he only did 1 or 2 issues. Some glorious splash pages by Kirby, and the black spotted on this is just wonderful. It looks chaotic, but it just reads well, and that's what Kirby did best. Never finished high school. And, this is right towards the end of Kirby's era with Marvel, because then he would go to DC with the New Gods. You gotta love all the helmets that Kirby would come up out of the blue. Just really, really imaginative. Really great stuff. Loki! That's amazing. And that inspired Neil Adams, who did an issue or 2 after Kirby left, to do a similar splash page. And he insisted that Joe Sinnott ink him to keep, which is totally contradictory to Neil Adams' style, but he wanted it to look like a Marvel book. So it was a success. It was really, really cool. He only did like 2 issues, but okay, so Bill was going around doing some inking, kind of hopscotching about. And this is a great book. It has all this Gene Colan, Gary Conway stories, a whole bunch, and also has Amazing Adventures 1 through 8, which didn't last very long, but it had the Black Widow featured. So they tried to revive the split books again, and this was Amazing Adventures, and it didn't last that long. And it's unfortunate. And they also did some other. They did Astonishing Tales also, which sort of was a companion book with different characters like Kazar and Doctor Doom. So there we go. Gene Colan, artist, Bill Everett, inker. It wouldn't be till years later that they would delineate between penciler and inker in the credits. Conway's doing a great job there with no word balloons, no thought balloons, no captions, and that's really good, because it means you're confident in the storytelling, and he definitely wrote that. It wasn't like, or maybe he would have to work with Gene to get something specific out, or something this specific. Blah. And this work here, it came out in a Marvel Premiere Edition in the mid-2000s, and it was shit. It was poorly reproduced. It was just a mess, and it got refurbished by Corey Siedelmeyer at who does the Marvel Masterworks restoration. Now, if this looks familiar, this was also in a Marvel Treasure Edition. It was a holiday special, and this was included. No, not this one. The next one was. I think. I got to think this over. Stunning. It's very Tom Palmer, but yet Everett probably didn't look at Tom Palmer, and because he was already he already had a style, but he also kind of give it like a little bit of a Shaggy look, but it worked. And I don't mean Shaggy and Scooby. I'll beat you to the punch with that joke. And hey now. It's a shame this story didn't last long, because it looked like they put a lot of effort into it. And here's a page that details just amazing, and this probably was hard to reproduce before they did the Marvel Masterworks. Because who do we get a little closer here? A little closer. And these last 3 panels are stunning. I know I say stunning a lot, but it is. I mean, I got to call it is. The last 3 panels, that face at the very end is so expressive. I mean, there weren't that many there were a lot of like people who draw like laughter, crying, grimacing, paranoia, and all that. But this is one of those panels that is so unique. It just captures the sorrow and the just a really. It's like she's looking at you, and looking at that panel, you feel for her. She might be a fictional character, but it's just good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, let's get back to like I said, Perez, and so I never snort. Well, here we go. Da, 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 da. Well, Bill Everett was doing some things in and out, and he was still having a terrible, terrible battle with the bottle, and it was, which is why you didn't see a whole lot of his stuff. But around this time, he always was in touch with Roy and Stan, and they did what they could to help him, and he did great work. So Roy Thomas convinced Stan to have Bill Everett return to his creation as on his regular title. Submariner had already done 49 issues with a whole host of artists. I think the longest, there was a year-long story that was penciled by Sal Buscema. That was just really great stuff. And it came, I think before this, 214. Colin did it. It kind of hopscotched around. Well, here was a triumphant. This is the last we'll see of Bill Everett's artwork. But he comes on guns a-blazing. It's just amazing. So 30 plus years after he created Submariner, he came back not only as great as ever, but better. It's just amazing. And he had Bill Everett had gone to Alcoholics Anonymous, and he did sober up for a time, like I don't know, a year or two, and which is why they decided to give him the regular Submariner book, and it was a good call, and everybody was grateful that Bill, got sober, and but the only concern that Stan might have had was that Subby, I hate saying that, Submariner's, how can I put it? Oh well, I can't think of it. It was very profound, I know that, whatever it was. So I had a hiccup in my head. Okay. And here's the 50th issue. Most of the covers are by Gil Kane, and I don't know who's inking that. That might be Everett himself, or Ralph Reese, or Dan Adkins. I don't know. They don't give the cover credits in these books. And it starts off continuing from the previous issue that was written and drawn by, Gene Colan did the art. I don't know. There we go. It's like, shut up and turn the page, Drew. Shut you up. Anyway. I can't show you every page anyway. But this girl's underwater, and he gives her mouth to mouth. She says, cut it out, you dirty old man. Who do you think you're mashing? That was an old term. I can see mashing if it was here. But look at that. Elegant line work. And he's keeping his uniqueness. I really didn't see a lot of artists doing undersea images that had swirls, just constantly. Fantastic pose. Later on, we find out she was confused, and it turned out that Namor was her cousin. So just drink it in. Now, the only caveat, I'm just fumbling with words today. The only thing that Roy and Stan felt should be changed was Namor's dialogue. He had a lot of the silly terms that he used in the 40s, like suffering shad and other stuff that I think Roy felt wouldn't connect with modern audiences. This is early 70s, where we were all so sophisticated in our comics. It took them deadly serious. And there's Bira, who's always been a burr up Subby's ass. Magnificent, just now that's I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that kind of pose, and it's anatomically correct to my eyes. So there's 51. And Gil Kane was doing a ton of covers back then, and Mike Friedrich stepped in as writer. I'm thinking he may have just script over Bill Everett's stories. That's another one too. She grabs him from behind, does like a wrestling hold on him. Wow. That may be done. Wow, look at that. It's filled in with black and it's scratched with a razor, it looks like. You get a straight edge and you lean a razor against it at an angle, and you get these little scratch marks that really work well. Jim Mooney did the same thing when he was inking John Romita around in 1970 or so. I don't recommend you use razors because you'll hurt yourself. And besides, unfortunately, that kind of style is not huge, and it's like, oh, it's old school. There's a lot of ageism in comics. Well, here's one of the Badoon, brought on by from the Silver Surfer 2, which is probably the most boring issue of Silver Surfer ever. It was such a chore to read that issue. So he's sitting on the throne. She goes, oh my goodness. You look at Namor, he's so regal. My stomach's flapping like a beach flounder. If this is love, then maybe I will like it after all. So it's like a crush. She has a crush on him, and he would never act upon it. There's Oil. And also Everett and Friedrich, they covered environmental issues at the time. That's such a wacky pose. It's like, no one's in the room but me, so I'm going to dance like a jagoff. Whee! Okay. Another great Kane cover. I don't know what else to say. Sunfire, who appeared in X-Men, and not that many books since. Yeah, I just have to go back to that line work. Well, I show you a real humdinger of a splash page that will knock you out. Come on. And the rising sun shall fall. This is all Bill Everett. I love that swimming, splashing effect, and he got the waves. That almost... It sort of reminded me of... it looks like it's in the movies. When you see a ship... when you see a ship like the Titanic or something like that, where it gets destroyed. So I don't know what I was thinking of. Maybe I'm trying to wrap this up in one episode, so that's why I'm kind of don't know how to talk. So I should let the art do the talking. And I don't know if that's Kane or not. I don't know. Now we go, it's still a Bill Everett production. That is really cool. And there's this rule, or not a rule, it's like a funny idea of doing a comic book page. Some pages are called like a quarter of a page. And that doesn't mean it takes up 1/4, but it's like filling up a panel so much with detail that you can't put a quarter on the page without getting detail. So I know that sounds stupid, but someone told me that a while back. And you know me, I believe everything I hear. I'm very impressionable, especially about comics. So Betty Dean tries to stop Neighborita. Why you got out of the way? That's fun. And the backup strip is by Alan Weiss. Very early in his career, he did an issue of Captain America that John Romita did a lot of redraws over. And, or maybe I'm thinking of Gray Morrow. That might be it. This is great stuff. You see, already Bill can't do a full issue. And but it's understandable. He's kind of getting back into the game. Doing a full-time book is substantially harder than doing half a book. So Namorita gives Namor an earring, and not just for fashion purposes. It's like a signal earring that he can contact her anytime. The abominable Snow King. And as I said, Roy Thomas touched up some of the dialogue, which basically it was altogether a great package. Have a fill-in issue by Dan Adkins, who plotted and drew this. Now we're back with Prince Namor. Excuse me. Pardon me. One more time. Sorry. It's morning. Fantastic. Fantastic. I can't say that enough times, but it's just as good. Actually, it's better than pretty much everything else that came out at the time. I'm not 100% sure of the anatomy of that back, but I don't care. It's comics and it looks great. And then Venus, character from 1950s, she becomes a regular character. Lord Ares, God of War. I can't get over it. It's like it's either raining or there's water. She's using the signal. I can't talk that. What is wrong with me? Jeez, oh Pete. More beautiful artwork from Bill Everett. And then we get another fill-in artist, Sam Queskin does layouts. He was a comic artist many years prior to this, but he came back and did Daredevil 99, which had a guest star appearance of Hawkeye, and they were both fighting over the Black Widow, as absurd as it sounds, because Hawkeye was kind of being a dick. And I love Hawkeye, but he was being a dick. So with Sam Queskin's layout, so we're getting a whole different vibe here in a storytelling way. And that's Tamara of some alien woman. I think what they needed Queskin for was to make smaller panels and keep the story moving a little faster, because you could see that Everett was doing a lot of huge panels. Okay. And here we go. Thor versus Namor. Now we have another. This is another issue. Let me see. This is my first take, by the way. If I do too many takes on an episode, my throat gets really itchy and I cough a lot, so I'm trying to wrap up as much as I can. I don't know who did this cover. It looks, very Marie Severin, that's who it is, but I'm sure it was touched up. Namor was touched up because it looks a bit different than what she would do. And you're getting another fill-in issue by Steve Gerber, Sam Queskin layouts, and Jim Mooney finished art over a plot by Bill Everett. And according to Roy Thomas, the years of drinking was really wreaking havoc on Bill Everett's body. And that'll do it, unfortunately. I've known people that are no longer here for that reason. and it's always a tragedy. That looks like a Bill Everett cover. Now this is the very last Submariner pages that Everett did. But as you see, he's going out on a high note. It was maybe the first, what is it, page 6 or something? Hold on a second. Oh, I don't know. It's only like 5-6 pages before he passed on, and they give him a tribute. Personal word from Marvel Comics bullpen, as all of comicdom doubtless knows now. Bill Everett, creator of the Submariner and one of the brightest lights in the early days of comics, passed away very early this year. Rather than present a lengthy eulogy here, something which Bill would have loathed anyway, we preferred to present the following picture, which we feel sums up in our own sense of loss and eloquently than any words we could say. We hope you understand. We know Bill would. And it sort of looks like it's a... Oh, you just read right here, dummy. Marie Severin and Frank Giacoya. That's a beautiful piece. And get this. This is... Oh my gosh. This is not only penciled and inked by Bill Everett, it's also colored by him. It was dedicated to his son, Rob Everett. That's just amazing. I'm going to linger on this a little bit. And for one thing, at the very least, that is a magnificent pose, magnificent page design, and the coloring. Wow, that's just amazing. Now, he did do a few more comic pages that didn't show up in Submariner because they didn't quite fit the story, and it was literally like 4 or 5 pages, and they were very loose, and I'm going to show you a little bit. Here's Venus. How about that black and white work? I'd love it to have been in black and white. However, the quality of the line work's been returned from before, when these stories were previously reprinted in some other book, like, I don't know, like Marvel Superheroes, yeah. Which I always thought was a dumb title when they had Hulk and Namor, because they're not superheroes. So here is the story, but it ends there, and it gets picked up by George Tuska, and okay, hang in there. Win Mortimer. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Well, anyway, those are his last pages, and like I said, he went out on a high note, and there are so many artists that cannot say that. I mean, like people like Al Jaffe, and there's quite a few of them, but it's the exception rather than the rule. Well, I dug up some other, they were like scragglers, pages of Bill Everett stuff. Now, supposedly he did 5 pages that got stuck in, let's see, there's Bill Everett's name, that got stuck in this issue here, number 1 of Supervillain Team Up, and I don't count 5 pages that has been alleged. That's all Tuska. Fred Kita is a great inker. He also did one of the best Marvel what ifs ever. What if Doctor Doom was a superhero instead of a supervillain? Or Tuska. And now this I could see as Bill Everett, like just doing layouts. It's because that's very un-Tuska-like. There is Tuska. I've said Tuska about 500 times. And I suppose he did these too. I don't know. And it's filled with stats. It's from Hulk, a cover of Hulk. And then I guess this is the last one with heavy inks by my friend Kita. And that is it. That is it. So I just wanted to reiterate that although he only lived to be 55, which is tragic, and he was clean and sober for a couple of years, he came back, got his own creation, got back to telling the stories and doing magnificent artwork, and but then he was lost to us. It was I know it's like a 45-year later, but rest in peace, Bill Everett. And I hope you enjoyed these episodes. I'll talk to you later.